So, but, YouTube is not one of the, we're in multiple.
Right.
All right, I think we're up. So let me, I got to close this. Oh, I did. Okay. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. Make sure we're public. Yes, we're public. And we're shared. Okay. And then live stream's been running for 2 minutes, so. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the New Media Show. My name is Todd Cochran. Of course, I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Rob Greenlee. Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine here, Todd. We're well into December now, so the winter is coming, and we're charging along. And talk and discussion about springtime when the podcasting industry is picking up a little bit too. So some events and things like that. So podcast movement and the podcast show, and so there's some excitement building around spring and summer of next year that maybe we get back to a little bit more normal, but it appears like we're going through a little bit of a bumpy winter this year, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're kind of on the fence on the podcast show. I'm just.
I know. Well, I'm too.
For the cost.
Yeah.
It's crazy expensive, and if they can prove that they're going to have 6,000 people, we'll go. But
right.
But if there's 1,000, I'm not going for 1,000.
Yeah.
So they're emailing me like 2 or 3 times a week. What's your decision? What's your decision? And we're on hold. At this point, they moved the dates to July, and I don't suspect that travel. I would think by June, we would probably be okay. If everything goes with the vaccines the way they think it's going to go with distribution, and by probably the majority of us, at least here in the United States, having had access to a vaccine shot by maybe April. But some of those shots require 2, so you get the first one, then you need a second one 3 weeks later. I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well,
here.
I'm hearing talk that those vaccines may not last much longer than 3 months, as far as and it may not stop you from being able to spread the disease either. Yeah, it's just to keep the symptoms.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Yeah. It's just like the flu shot.
Right.
You get the flu shot and you still get the flu. It depends on the if the virus mutates a little bit, but this is not a scientific show. We're just hoping we can get traveling again.
Well, yeah, it's all about when things are going to start opening up and the podcasting industry kind of gets back to a little bit more of a normal function.
Right.
I think we are clearly in the potential of a new normal here. I think and you just look at Podcast Movement and what they're planning on doing. It's these hybrid events that are going to come out of this, right? It's not going to be exactly the same.
But hybrids for us is worthless.
Right. Well, from an organizer perspective, maybe it enables them to scale their event bigger, and we shall see.
From a vendor standpoint, it's
right. Well, in an attendee standpoint.
Attendees are, it's fine, but again, the attention level, we've already seen it. The attention level, when you're at a conference, you're there.
You're dedicated.
You're dedicated. Right? You don't have to worry about the office too much. You can, you don't have kids bothering you or, a partner making demands while you're trying to, that's why some people said they checked themselves into a hotel to attend an event because that was the only place they knew they were going to be able to.
Right.
So,
if you invested a lot of money into a ticket because you're trying to learn as much as you can, I guess that does make sense. That wouldn't be something that you and I would do.
Right.
But that's, we're looking forward to getting back to normal again.
It completely ruined our plans for the Blueberry Academy that we had. We had heavy planning on that. And, that was not going to be virtual. That was going to be in person. And, we'd put some resources against that. So, I don't know, maybe by July I can relook at relaunching that. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm sure there is going to be a demand. People are sick of being in their houses, Rob, and not socializing and going to dinner and all this stuff. It
is getting a little old, I have to say.
So, I'm lucky I can drive 13 miles south into Indiana where the restaurants are open. I can still go sit down and have a meal. But mysteriously, when you cross the Michigan state line, the virus stops. And I mean, that's where the virus is. And there's no restaurants open here. So it's just, I don't know. There's no, sorry, we shouldn't get started on that. But anyway, I think what we're seeing, and I titled the show on YouTube today, Everybody's Live. And I've been kind of playing around. I've been on, I don't know, I just loaded a bunch of different apps. Almost every app has a live component now.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's, I even heard there's live on dating apps. They've actually got live components on some dating apps. I didn't know that. That was news to me. So everybody's live. It's
so live in the terms of being able to make a video call or something?
No, it's like they can do live. Yeah. So someone tell me that the tagged.
Well, the video call is live.
Well,
so that's what you're talking
about. Well, I heard that the tagged app allows people that are on tagged to go live. Actually, do a live with their cell phone.
Right. To many people?
Whoever's on that platform, I guess.
Right.
So it is pretty amazing the number of platforms per se that do some function of live now. So, look at what we're doing here. We're on YouTube, we're on Twitch, we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. We're on Facebook, 3 different places.
Right.
So
we've been doing this live for a very long time.
Yeah.
So this is
not new for us.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just, that's the other part that I keep thinking about too, is that for both of us, what's happened in the world really hasn't been a huge change from the standpoint of, if you just take travel out of the mix and going to conferences and events, the world that we live in hasn't changed that much.
It's true, but I'm a social bunny, so
I know.
It's
No, I get it. Yeah, that is the big change for us.
Yeah,
and I think a lot of people, it's just amazing to me. I mean, when I say a lot of people in this podcast industry, it's amazing to think about, because it doesn't seem like it was that long ago, Todd, when there weren't that many people in this industry.
Well, it's exploding. And, we go to events now, and used to be you could know that
everybody.
Yeah.
Much.
And now you're like, who are these people? And you hear about their shows, and you're like, wow.
Right. I mean, you just look through LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn's a classic, exposition of how big this industry has expanded. I mean, how many people have podcast producer or podcast this or podcast that in their job descriptions that they have on LinkedIn now? It's like, I remember going through LinkedIn many years ago trying to make connections with other people in the industry, and it's like it was hard pressed to find somebody that had the word podcast anywhere in their LinkedIn profile. But now it's like, tens of thousands.
And, and I haven't updated not updated, but I haven't been on LinkedIn in 2 or 3 days, and I got 32 networking requests. I got 32 new people that want to link up. And I'm sure, now here's the thing I don't like about LinkedIn. People utilize these automated notes messaging in LinkedIn. Drives me crazy. Yeah. So of these 32, I'll probably have
their pitches is what they are.
Yeah, they're pitching. Yeah. Right. So growth marketing consultant. Don't know who he is. Delete. Distribution partnership at Dropbox. That's probably a good one to have. Sales rep at such and such company. Probably a good one to have. Someone helping audio-based companies. I should do that. Actually, I know who that person is. It just goes on and on and on. And I'm just looking here at LinkedIn right now. There's another podcasting one, an M&A service. Oh, they think we need M&A help. So broadcast media, boom. Another podcasting person, influencer in podcasting. Make sure he's not an Indian account that's doing. Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, I totally avoid the ones that say podcast promoter.
Yeah.
They're constantly pitching me all the time. I can get your podcast in the top list in the top 100 of Apple. It's like, really? How you do that?
And then, what is this? Oh, this is some event. Did I miss it? No, I guess I'll go ahead and sign up for that because I know who that is. Another supervising producer. I didn't even know that was a title for someone at a podcast group. Some of these are
another job title that's similar to like executive producer.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see here. So there was probably of those 32, I deleted 3 because they were those Indian, hey, we'll get you to the top of the list. And then the rest of them seemed legitimate. And then there was probably about 10 that were podcasting folks. But of those 32, I got 7 automated pop-ups. It just pisses me off.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. They know, hey, my email's online, those of you on LinkedIn.
People, get the premium subscription and to LinkedIn, and it gives them the ability to send those, those in LinkedIn messages. Right.
And they have automated response systems that when you become a friend, they send you an email. I don't do that. Yeah. So maybe I'm missing out, but how many people have I got on LinkedIn here? Let me look, see what's my count. 500 plus connections, whatever that means. So, I have 5,100 people I'm linked up in LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think I'm at about 6,000 or something on that side, but I don't know how important that number is.
Yeah, I don't. It's like, well, I was going to say something rude, but no, it probably means nothing.
So
it's like,
so I'm sure you. Go ahead.
It's like Twitter followers.
Right.
Yeah.
It means nothing, really, at the end of the day. I'm sure you saw the talk that Wondery could get picked up by Amazon now. So they've now, the rumors are flipping through Apple, Sony, and Amazon now. We shall see where those folks land. But I thought that was interesting.
We'll see if there's a bidding war for them at some point. Maybe not. But 300 million is the rumor.
Yeah, around 300 million. Who knows what that will actually turn out to be? But yeah, I mean, it's each time one of these things gets leaked like this, it cuts down on the chances that the deal's going to happen. So who knows? Yeah. And then there's a bunch of stuff that just popped up. Yeah. Did you see that the Spotify folks now have a podcast Hall of Fame?
Oh, I did.
I know, but it's different than
It's their annual podcast Hall of Fame.
Right.
We're not on that list.
About shows. It's more about shows.
We're not on that list, Rob.
Yeah, right. Nope.
So let me go back to my point I was making a little bit earlier about live.
Yeah.
You have lots of people doing live, and not everyone's going to garner a big audience. Today it's Saturday. We've got half a dozen people on today. We don't have that many on watching us.
No.
And I think we're probably not much different than many people that do live. They go on and largely talk to themselves. But you and I have figured out that live is, we get a few interactions from the hey, by the way, if you're watching, make sure you say hi in the chat room or on Facebook
Right.
and on Twitter. Say hello. Let us know you're here. We get this interaction in the show. And for me, when I started live, it's been 10 years now, is that it was really, for me, it was about getting it wasn't just me behind the mic. I had
Right.
some interaction from, it wasn't a lot, but it was enough. And I never cared if I had 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000. That wasn't the point of doing live. But also, for those of you that have been thinking about doing live and haven't done live yet, live really makes you a better podcaster.
Yeah, it's a different psychological positioning that you have to take to the content.
Right.
Definitely. I have a hard time going back and doing things scripted or pre-planned out because I spent so much time doing live.
Yeah, I don't think I could ever go back. I've done some on vacation where it really wasn't convenient to go live.
Yeah.
And the bandwidth wasn't there. I've done it, and it's just, well, here's the thing. Podcasting can be kind of lonely at times. When you're a solo, especially if you're a solo show.
And you're just recording.
Recording.
Right.
And then
it's not a social experience.
Right. And then if you don't get any feedback from that show, it's crickets from the audience, then you're like, is this really worth doing? So I think for me, because I was recording in Hawaii at like 8:00 at night before, every 2:00 in the morning on the East Coast, and maybe 11 o'clock on the West, depending on what if it was daylight savings time or not.
Yeah,
and it really, I was getting people coming in from Australia. That's where people are awake.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And as we got that little bit of interaction, so it was almost as if I had company. Hey, Matt, thanks for checking in. Appreciate it.
So, Todd, I think it makes sense that live is picked up, given the circumstances.
Yeah.
I think it's another way for people to connect with others.
Yeah. And I think it makes it doesn't, you still do your show the way you do it, but at the same point, I think it just makes it less lonely. I think that's the best word for it. At least kind of, maybe I had a little epiphany here. But
yeah.
Another thing, Rob, that came to my attention is and I don't know, I think you guys do these, and maybe Rob Walsh does more than you do, but I meet with podcasters a lot. And
I do too. I help them, I help podcasters a lot.
And we do a little screen share, and we can look at their website, and sometimes, I've got a gentleman that I know that really follows a methodology that we promote. And yet in a call that we had with him and one of his clients yesterday, he had a few realization moments as we were, we've done this demo on the show before where we've taken an episode title and done a Google search and see where that episode, if we can find that episode. And they weren't having success, but the show was showing up somewhere else where wasn't the priority. And I really think at this point that there is probably a need for some training for podcasters to help them with this Google detection. I just, because I think a lot of podcasters get it a little bit, but they really don't see the full picture. And it was a big thing what they need. Well, they've got a lot of work ahead of them to really get the website that the client uses to get it to where it will be the authority in Google versus something else. But it was at least we could figure out what was going on. And it just made me kind of realize that, maybe this is what we need to do, is we need to go back to like hardcore 101 basics. And some of these are not basics because maybe it's never even been taught.
Yeah, I think, I've talked to, a new podcaster on a regular basis. And, Todd, like you've always said, and we've all, I mean, anybody that's been in this industry as long as we have and have helped, as many people as we have, we've come across folks that they just don't understand the infrastructure of this industry and how, what needs to be done and how it's done. I mean, we're always in this basic training mode for a certain percentage of the folks that we work with. And then there's the other folks at the other end of the spectrum that have been doing it for a long time and want to improve and want to advance what they're doing. And that takes, to be able to consult at both ends of the spectrum is challenging at times because, trying to tell somebody, and you've made this comment too, that trying to work with people that barely know how to use a mouse,
right,
is hard.
Yeah,
it's not easy because these are just basic skills.
Mm-hmm.
But I think now more than ever, and over the last 3 or 4 months, I've encountered more situations like that than I ever have in the past. So I don't know if it's continuing for you too.
I think what we, I think
it's just new people, right?
Yeah, but it's not even just that.
Right.
There's another category. There's a category of, and more, my tech support guys run into it more than I do.
Right.
It's I know what's best. You don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have attended a course, paid some money, had a consultant, read something, had a preconceived idea, and oh man, it can get hostile.
And made a mess of what they're doing, right? Is that what you're saying?
Not always made a mess, but it's.
I've seen that too sometimes where they've kind of done things wrong in a lot of different areas, and trying to pull things back together again is hard.
The biggest thing I almost 85% of the time when I'm doing a consult and someone is complaining to me about their numbers, about their download numbers, I always do an experiment with them. I know where their website is, and I've already looked, but we open up a blank window in a screen share, and I say, okay, what's your website? And I'll then just go ahead and type in their website and load it. And when I get on the web page, the first thing I said is, how do I subscribe to your show?
Right. Yeah.
I can't subscribe to your show. Well, it's on a second link. I click through. Where's it at? Oh, it's got to scroll down. And I'm like, so this is, it's beyond, well, and then I say, okay, so now go to your Google Analytics, not your podcast analytics, and tell me how long people stay on your homepage and how many people land on those secondary pages. So oftentimes, just the sheer change,
right.
And I'd tell them, just put an Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, put 3, 4 on there.
Yeah.
You don't have to have 20.
And they'll see their numbers go up. Right.
Almost immediately.
Yeah. Well, Todd, I'm sure you saw the email that we got from a listener to the show.
Yeah.
Talking about a mess of a situation between a host of a show and a partner that they had, wanting to have us help them unravel the mess. So podcasters get into entanglements in partnership relationships, and then when it comes time to have some sort of separation, there's challenges because one feels like they own the content, but the other partner registered all the domains and got it listed and controls the publishing account and all this stuff, but yet the host thinks that they own the show, right? And then there's a separation, and it's like, I don't know, did you read that email or did it kind of just pile up in your inbox?
I don't know if I got that email. So when did that come?
It was a couple of days ago, but
so I might
don't
be
want to
behind.
go into a lot of detail about it. But
okay,
it's just, indicative of the other types of situations that are happening out there too, where people are getting into co-production type of situations, and they're inadvertently losing control of their shows, and then they, when something goes sideways and they want to move, they can't.
True.
And they want to figure out a way to unravel the mess that they've gotten themselves into because they didn't maintain control of the various aspects of their shows, which is something I always tell people is that, make sure your domain name is in your name and you have the password to get in there and you control that account, and who owns the publishing account. Do you have access to the publishing account? Those kind of things. Oftentimes podcasters will say, to their consultant or whoever they're working with, get that all set up for me. Right. And then when it comes time to separate, guess what? They don't control anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really, we get caught in the middle as podcast hosts sometimes.
Right.
About
these battles, right?
Yeah. Right. About a week ago, we had a podcaster email us and say, I want to cancel my hosting account. And it didn't match. The email didn't match the login. And we said, no, we can't cancel you have to log in to your account and cancel.
Yeah.
And we gave the instructions on how to do that. And this customer was pissed. They were adamant. Cancel my account. Cancel my account. Now, it turns out it was a legitimate cancel, but it could have been a partner or a third party that were trying to social engineer us into. So, ultimately, my support team says, hey, just email me from the account that you log into the Blueberry with, and we'd be happy to cancel your account. And, and we tried to explain this is for the protection of your, and of course, people don't want to hear that when they're angry. But we've had people try to social engineer many times, trying to we've seen people try to screw podcasters by faking it. Get an email if someone doesn't like a show, apparently, and we'll email the podcaster and say, hey, so we've had some emails when trying to cancel your account. Well, what's going on? And oftentimes I say, yeah, I got a hater right now that is messing with the show. So it goes not only with hosts, it can go with listeners.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. But most of you have been listening to the show for a while. You've heard Rob and I talk about this. If you're going to get into bed with somebody, then at least it doesn't have to be like, of course, Gordon, I'm taking business away from Gordon, but it doesn't have to be like super complicated. You write down a piece of paper. Who owns the show name? Who owns the feed? Who owns the media? What happens if one or the other party leaves? Write this stuff out on what's going to happen if the co-hosts part ways.
Right. Oftentimes, the person that has the login credentials and the publishing capability are the ones that control the show.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and really we're kind of I said, go get a lawyer, and then let us know what the result of your legal battle is, and then we'll react.
Yeah. I think from a strategy perspective, you have to go through the process of figuring out ways that maybe you can get into the account to take control of it. But at the end of the day, if you can't, then kind of a lawyer is really your only option.
Yeah.
I don't know what else, to suggest.
And if you have, with your hosting provider, if you have sub-accounts that allow people to come in and publish and do administrative duties, and you're the owner of the account and you give access with sub-accounts, then you need to be very careful. It's just like anything else. Do you trust this individual with the keys to the car? Because admin is admin. Admin equals I can delete every episode. Admin means I can cancel the account and close the website. There's power in admin. Publisher, you can't cancel the account. You can publish. That's it.
Yeah.
You can't delete episodes. You can publish and edit. So, yeah, Matt says plan the divorce before you get married. That's prenups, right? Get that prenup in there.
Yeah.
So
It's unfortunate that you have to do that.
I think everyone
and I
should
guess
have a
it depends
prenup.
on the character of the people that you're working with too. I guess.
But Rob, I've had best of friends
Yeah.
where we didn't see eye to eye at one point and become out of favor with each other for a bit. We've all had that happen.
Yeah, I don't think that I would start a podcast myself. That was my idea, my concept, and then have somebody else do all the setup and I mean, that's just not me, and I've never had a problem with this because of that.
But we live in a different world now.
Yeah, it's called taking responsibility for what you're doing and being the leader of this. If it is yours, it can be an uncomfortable place to be sometimes, but that's part of being able to maintain ownership. But I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff going on in the space right now too. You probably saw the news too that Google has set up a one-click subscribe process.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Which is certainly not a new concept at all.
Yep.
Been around for a very long time. So I think it's good, definitely. Yeah.
And it's going to require some of us to do a little rework. Well,
Right.
So I'm excited to see, they're continuing to kick the ball here, and they're kicking it pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it's just a matter of really going in and changing all the links that you have to the Google Podcast platform and converting them into a subscribe.
Yeah. Hey, Rob, I've got a speaker turned on in the other room. I'm going to switch you to main screen, but I need you to carry here for about 40 seconds. So I'll be right back. Go ahead.
All right. Also, in other news today, that came out this past week too, the IAB has released V2.1 of the podcast measurement technical guidelines. So there's some public comment there. So if you wanted to give some comment on there, this is linked to from the Pod News as well. So you can get it there. You can get it on the December 3rd, edition of the Pod News to get access to that if you wanted to read through the version 2.1 of the podcast measurement guidelines. So
I wish the IAB would have put a Delta version up so people could easily see
comparing the two.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, actually, James,
they did it.
Right. So, which helps people see what was changed. Mm-hmm. Right.
I think I get the opinion from James. They're not happy with the changes, but yeah. So, but that's why they have a comment period.
Well, I think we're coming into a time when the IAB stuff is going to be challenged again to some degree. Of you're looking at these different groups that are forming to challenge the significance of the IAB certification around the world and right here in the U.S. So
I just hope I don't have to write the same check size to get 2.1 certified.
Right. Well, is that what they're going to?
Well, I think so. Yeah, I think there's going to be some effort to make sure that, but a lot of the stuff that's in 2.1 is more administrative versus technical.
Yeah, I think that probably the big technical one is the Apple Watch.
But that they're keeping that in an addendum.
And the IPv6 is part of that too, right?
Yeah, the IPv6 stuff. There'll probably be a 2.2 to handle the IPv6 stuff because I don't know if I can say this or not, but the IPv6 stuff is being worked heavily by groups that are already seeing effects by IPv6. But there is challenges in IPv6 measurement largely because the IPs really don't stick with devices. They could get updated as many as 20 times or 25 times a day.
Right.
So it's like you could start listening to a show on one IPv6 address, and then before you're finished, you could have been issued 3 different IPv6 addresses. Could have changed.
Yeah, but Todd, I thought they were going to truncate that number because the earlier part of that number string is fairly consistent.
I don't want to get into how they're going to mitigate it yet.
Right.
Because one group has basically went and said, okay, here's our case study. They gave the case study to the IAB members. The members are then say, okay, it's just like science research. So if someone does say, okay, here's my study on, what I found water on Mars, go out and validate, that there's water on Mars. I got a headset that's driving me crazy.
Was it popping out?
Yeah, well, I just took it out of my ear. It was like crinkling, and I'm going to have to replace these. It sucks. They're expensive. Support the show, please.
Well, Todd, your comment about Pod News being a little critical of the IAB, I think to be fair about it is that the folks over there with Pod News and Sounds Profitable have their other foot in another initiative, right?
True.
So I think that there was a quote in the publication talking about how the effort needed for IAB certified partners to remain compliant is minimal, is what I think it was the comment here. And I still encourage everyone, IAB members or not, to read it and submit the feedback to the Tech Lab. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that there is a little bit of bias towards that's not in favor of the IAB program. So there's a desire to find fault with it.
We're getting quite a bit of response today on YouTube, so I am watching what you folks are saying in YouTube. So,
what's is there a common thread of interest?
It's, in the morning, Todd and Rob introduce a bridge too far, says the basics are necessary for providing value to audiences. It goes back to when we were talking about.
Yeah.
It says preparation and planning and courtesy skills along with the tech skills. So talking about prepping for shows, I guess. And the last comment, I don't understand the context, but but I think this is the most comments we've had on YouTube in a while. So I am watching what you're saying here today. And Elliot, thanks for watching live. So it's in the end, until if someone can invent a better mousetrap and prove it's a better mousetrap and provide the science that it's a better mousetrap, the IAB tech spec is what we have.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think we talked about this on the Wednesday episode, that in France, there's an organization that's claiming that they have 5 times lower numbers than the IAB certified programs.
It's like 5 times lower.
Wow, 5 times lower.
Just what everybody needs.
Right. Yeah.
Well, can you imagine us telling our customers, hey, by the way, we're going to adopt this new spec out of France and your numbers are going to be 5 times lower?
Right.
Just, we might as well just go and stand up against the firing squad wall.
Yeah, Todd, on the whole one-click subscribe with the Google podcast stuff, I think there needs to be a change made to the button icon, right? When I'm seeing those that have implemented it so far have just used the same Google Podcasts icon, right? Listen on Google Podcasts. I think that needs to change to subscribe on Google Podcasts, right? Just so people know when they click on it that that's what they're doing. It's about telling the listener what they're going to get when they click on the button. Right?
Well, that doesn't happen in Apple Podcast.
I know it probably should over there. Well, most of the time you click on Apple Podcasts, it doesn't subscribe you to the podcast, though.
It takes you to the page where you subscribe,
where you can subscribe.
So this new function is truly one-click subscribe. You're not given a secondary option. It's click and you're subscribed.
Well, what it does is it takes you to a page on Google that says subscribe to a podcast by RSS feed, and it gives you the RSS feed. That's the only thing that's on the page.
Oh.
And then you have to click a second button that says subscribe. That's right below it. So it shows the RSS feed.
Well, and
you hit subscribe.
That's what technically that's what happens at Apple Podcasts too. You just don't see it.
Well, it is, but it's not it's not a dedicated page just for that. It's their page that has all the episodes listed. So it comes across as like just a regular page, right? Where Google took a little bit more of a dedicated approach to that. So you click subscribe, and it takes you to that similar page to what Apple has.
Okay.
So, but the difference is on that Google Podcast page that has all the episodes listed, it has a little blue box or a little blue circle that says subscribe, and it's highlighted. So you've taken that additional step.
But do they have to do anything on that page, that second page? They have to click something?
Nope.
Oh.
So once you click subscribe on that one dedicated page, the only thing that's on that page is the ability to subscribe.
Okay. So there is a secondary action from the website. It takes you to Google. Correct. They have to hit subscribe and you're done.
Correct.
Well, I think they're probably will take feedback and...
Yeah. They're also, when they do that, they're also exposing the RSS feed.
That's okay, right?
I don't know. Is it? As you look to the future? Or should it be, or should we take the RSS feed kind of out of the picture here? And just, so when you click on that subscribe, just I don't think you have to show the RSS feed. Because where's the benefit?
Maybe it's a transparency thing to make sure people like me are making sure that
they're subscribing to
the right feed.
To the correct feed. Well, maybe what those feeds need to be is verified. So verified feed, which I think takes us back to this conversation around what they've been talking about at the podcast, the Index project of coming up with new tags, right? Is that there should be a verified feed, right? Because we have had issues in the industry of duplication, right? And I think this may be just, a hedge against that.
Right.
So, but is somebody really going to check that or know what they're seeing when they see an RSS feed, whether it's valid or not?
I heard about the change, but I didn't test it. So I guess I'm going to have to look, but a listener is going to care less. I hope. And do you think it adds confusion?
No, I don't think it adds necessarily confusion. I just wonder if it's necessary to expose the RSS feed. So when you click on, and it's also about setting expectations on the part of the listener about what they're doing when they click that button. Because it says listen on Google Podcasts, which sets the expectation that you're being taken to a listen page. But where you're taken to is not a listen page. It's a subscribe page. So it says, the only thing that says on the page is subscribe to a podcast by RSS feed. To subscribe to a podcast by RSS feed, paste the full URL in the field. So they're using this also, it's a dual purpose page is what it looks like. So this page is probably linkable off of their interface for manual submissions into subscription situations. So you could cut and paste a feed into that field externally and subscribe.
Well, all you can do, Rob, is provide feedback to Google.
Right.
So-
Which is
Yeah.
that's a valid purpose too. So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of, setting the expectation of the listener about
So,
what's going to happen when you click on that.
so I thought I would do a little interesting read here. There's a gentleman I follow on Twitter that talks about Spotify a lot.
Mhm.
He's not always a fan. So he's talking, he's got a tweet for artists. He says, posting your Spotify stats with Glee is like posting how many times you've been robbed with Glee. An artist needs 380,000 streams a month on Spotify to earn minimum wage. The average Spotify employee earns $14,000 a month. Respect music.
The average, what was that last one? The average Spotify
Employee earns $14,000 a month. So I don't know where he got that number, but I think I'm working for the wrong company.
I know it seems kind of high to me, but yeah.
Well, if you take the average, if you take all the executives and then
Oh, well, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's definitely going to skew the number up a little bit.
But
Yeah.
380,000 streams is what it takes to earn minimum wage.
Wow. That's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah. But, that means they've listened to the music track 2.5, 3 minutes or whatever is 380,000 times. So,
So I guess Joe Rogan has a new logo. Did you see this?
no, I did not.
It says it's got. Yeah, I mean it's the same logo. It's just that the album art is different now. It says it's got the little Spotify icon in the upper left corner, and then right across from the icon it says a Spotify exclusive in black text.
Well, I tell you, it didn't take too long for the Google gods to change things, because when I search for the Joe Rogan show, I get OpenSpotify.com. I've got the Joe Rogan Experience, all linking to Spotify. So did he take his website down too? Let me look at his website. That leads to Spotify. His website now leads to Spotify. Wow. That blows me away. That's pretty shocking. Yeah, I see it. It says a Spotify exclusive. So his website that he's had for years and built all that value in just flushed it. Boy, I hope he got 100 million. That would be like taking the new media show site and pointing it over to Spotify.
Yeah, and he still has that one episode in his RSS feed that's publicly available. And what I'm hearing is that even that's going to go away.
Huh.
But we shall see.
Well, I haven't checked to see if that other site is still online. Or actually, I had a someone tell me they subscribed to that feed to see how long it lasted.
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I mean, it may stay there just as a placeholder for him in case something happens.
Well, there was news, too, that there was a big surge of people that signed up for Spotify accounts. And there was also news that there's a lot of pissed off Joe Rogan fans. So, I guess good news, bad news. I think we were expecting that.
Did they clarify what they were upset about?
Yeah, that they couldn't get it the normal way
on their favorite podcast listening app.
But remember, Joe Rogan's no longer a podcast.
Right. Technically,
he is no longer a podcaster. It's the Joe Rogan Experience. It's a show on Spotify.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I'm looking at news listings about his show. It says there is a article in the Wrap that says how Spotify's smart bet on Joe Rogan and podcast exclusively contrasts with Apple's awful strategy. I'm not sure what that means.
What is Apple's awful strategy?
I don't know. I'm looking on the page right now, but I'm not sure what that might be.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Yeah.
Awful. And Spotify's experience is good? Come on.
I guess. So.
That's hilarious. But there's a lot of people that love the Spotify platform.
And here's another article headline that says Spotify employee accused of deleting Joe Rogan's Alex Jones conversation.
Yes, there is an investigation that is ongoing. No one has yet to be fired. I would not want to be that person at that company.
It says the temporary disappearance of the Alex Jones is being investigated. It says something strange happened. The episode mysteriously disappeared from the stack of Rogan's podcasts.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, mysteriously. It was a caching issue. That's what they told Joe.
That mishap certainly seemed suspicious, though it was immediately dismissed as an accident.
It looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's probably a duck.
Oh, and Joe's quote is, "The conspiracy about the show with the conspiracy theorist." So Joe made fun of it. So, the conspiracy about the conspiracy about the conspiracy. Yes.
Well, everyone loves to spin stuff, right. So even us.
That's the world we live in now.
That's right.
Everybody has a microphone.
So, Rob, as things get closer to Christmas here, things are going to start to throttle back a little bit. People are going to be on vacation. There's not going to be, I want to remind podcasters that while the podcasting news space is going to shrink a little bit over the next 20 days or so, your podcast listening audience is poised to explode if you are ready for them starting around the 15th of December through the end of January. And as we've said many times on the show, that is the number one growth period. Those 6 weeks is the number one growth period for podcasters to pick up new listeners.
Right.
Well, they're going to say, well, why is that? It's because everyone's getting new devices. They're looking for new content, New Year's resolution. So if you've got a health show or you've got something self-help or something that's designed to help lose weight or whatever people do New Year's resolutions around, if you plan your content to be talking about some of that, if that's your genre, you are going to pick up listeners for the holidays. Mm-hmm. But they have to find you first. So,
right. Yeah, it's a good time. Well, because people are getting new tablets and new devices and things like that they need to find some content.
Or, oftentimes, just like spring cleaning, people, the spring is a time people traditionally clean their houses top to bottom, at least here in the United States. In December, when people are at home, off work, of course, they've been home. So maybe this year won't be the case, but typically people are sitting around, and I do it too. I do app cleanups and stuff that, that's accumulated. And I try to organize my data. I think people do the same thing with their shows they listen to. They either kill them, and if you're not there for them, if you've missed a few weeks because of the holidays, they might delete you.
Right.
Is there thinking, well, I don't need to listen to them. They don't care about me putting out no content. Well, I need content because I'm home. I'm off. I'm trying to. So I'm on
the Midroll website right now, and I'm looking at an article talking about Manscaped.
Okay. About the trimmer.
The men's grooming and hygiene.
Right.
And there's this quote that's bouncing around about.
This is on the mid-roll site?
Yeah, exactly. And there's a quote in here from, let's see, where, did I lose it? I lose where it was on this article about how it says, looking into her crystal ball, this is a person that wrote this piece on mid-roll. It's like a white paper on a campaign. It says, looking into her crystal ball, Natalie predicts podcasting will become the next influencer marketing. In the near future, more brands will get the memo to hop on the audio advertising train. But this whole concept of the Manscaped product advertising on men's shows as well as women's shows, because women like to buy things for their boyfriends or their husbands or whatever. And so it's just an interesting take on.
There's been a lot of podcasters already involved in influencer campaigns. This is not anything new. You have a podcaster that will endorse a certain, and I know what some of the products that they're endorsing. It's those, how should I say this gently? It's a hair trimmer that won't slice and dice you.
So there are some quotes here. The signature product is the lawnmower.
Right.
It's a nothing is off limits trimmer.
Right.
It's just funny.
And here's the funny thing. Let me bring this up online here. Yeah, come on, website update. So here it is, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you that are watching. There is the Lawnmower 3.0. I think I've got the Lawnmower 1.0.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
So you admit to that, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Rob, okay, so too much information here. I may not have much hair on the top of my head, but I am quite the grizzly bear. So I will attest, this is a great product. Yes, it is a great product. It does what it advertises. But
yeah.
So yes, I could be an influencer for this. Now I'm not providing any pictures.
There's aspects of this article that I don't even feel comfortable saying on the show.
Oh, really?
That way, yeah. And this is a woman talking about manscaping, so it's like, okay.
Well, okay, so I'm going to just go here. So the reason this product is so popular is there probably is a certain segment of men that listen to this show who have used a regular hair trimmer in places that were not top of your head.
Well, there's lots of places where hair grows on men.
Right. So unless you're using a trimmer guard, that's a metal trimmer, and it's not conducive. It's not conducive for trimming certain places. So this is why Manscaped is so popular.
Right.
And I can understand why this trimmer would actually be popular with women too. So it's not just men that use this trimmer.
But they say that the ROI on these campaigns is really, really good because it does reach across demographic
of course.
groups.
Yeah, absolutely. And this company's been heavily advertising everywhere, Amazon, and any other place. So if you are a metrosexual man and you don't have the Manscaped, Rob, maybe you got to look into this, the Manscaped trimmer.
Right.
And they're very explicit on their website what this trimmer's for. And
so I guess the comedy podcasts tend to do very well on the campaigns.
Oh, I'm sure.
For Manscaped.
I'm sure.
The laughs per minute ratio, I think as it goes up, the product does better. Right?
I'm sure. Hey, look what we've been doing here,
Yeah.
And we're not even directly, a comedy show. You can just, you can go wild.
Wild is the same.
You can go wild. Every guy that's listening to the show right now is going over and looking at this product. Manscaped.com, guys and ladies.
So they do have a promo code.
No. Don't give them a promo. New media show. Use that promo code. It may not work, but at least it'll be tracked. Maybe Rob and I can make some money. Be sponsored by this. Yeah, put the promo code in. New media show.
But you'll save 20%.
Well, if the promo code doesn't work, you won't. But they'll say, "What the hell is this new media show promo code? That's not in our system."
Right. Yeah.
Who are these guys?
Campaign with those guys.
That would be a cool social experiment. Now, if you guys are willing to not have the 20% discount, we ought to have the link to that and try to make them see if we get any reaction.
Right.
So I'm a testimonial. I use their product. So.
So that promo code is typically used at a podcast, the Who and the How Club, which is proudly sponsored by Manscaped.
Yeah,
and
So I wonder if that whole show's crew is Manscaped.
They're clean shaven, Todd.
Maximum skin safe performance, combining third gen innovation, design, power, and hygiene. The trimmer with skin-safe technology is the perfect tool for an incredible grooming experience.
Yes. Nice little host read that we did here.
Yeah, we did. We didn't get paid for it. But, if they came to me and wanted me to endorse this product, I'd be on that campaign. I would. And I could probably have fun with it even on my little tech show. We've had fun here. Right. And we'd probably sell a lot of these things.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Why don't we? Let's do it.
Yeah, why not? Whoever's in charge of those RFPs, send it over. We'll get involved.
We're more than happy.
And Rob, you can give a description of how your first utilization of that device went.
Oh, you want a description of that, huh?
See, we're not a comedy show. We can't get away with that.
I know we can't.
People would be saying, "Listen, guys, I don't care how you manscape your body. Let's talk about podcasting."
Right. That's not why I'm here. I'm not here to learn about all your errant hair.
But to be honest with you, this is the type of a product. Just like my having GoDaddy, it was a product that really I sold a lot of because I really believed in it and pushed it and sold it. I still do. And, this is the absolute perfect product for advertising on podcasts.
Right. Hey, Todd, have you looked at the event calendar lately?
No.
Podcasting events?
No.
It's just a crazy steady flow of virtual events. It's just
I thought we were overstuffed until the new year, but
there's one December 8th called Super Listener 2020 Podcast Best Customers. That's an Edison event is what's coming. It's a virtual event with Podcast One and ad results. And also the Making of True Crime, a live virtual event by Stitcher. The PM Holiday, Podcast Movement Holiday virtual meetup is coming up on December 9th from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's a free event.
Oh, there we go. Pod.events if everybody wants to look at this.
Yeah, right. And December 16th, make a plan for your podcast in 2021. That's put on by Podiant XP.
That's interesting. So they're actually allowing companies to promote their events.
Yeah. Product deep dives, Podscribe, which is by Sounds Profitable, which is a free virtual event by Brian Burletta, it looks like.
Yeah.
And then January 27th is the Hot Docs Podcast Festival. That's a podcast festival that's, I believe, usually up in Toronto.
And then there's a jump until March, so interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think he's missing some events in here. It's not a complete list. And then May,
Yeah, it
some of
jumps all
these
the way
are
out to May.
wrong dates.
Yeah. And the podcast show's already moved.
Right. It's into July now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think. I had 2 weeks, Rob. I had someone recently said, "Hey, can I do an interview with you?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm available next week, this day, and this." They said, "No, we're booking out 2.5 months." And I'm like, okay. I can't even know where I'm going to be 2 weeks from now, let alone 2.5 months." And
yeah, I have that too. People want to schedule an interview or something like that, and it's like 2 months in the future.
I don't do it.
I've had ones that scheduled out as far as like 6 months, and
that's
it's
ridiculous.
Like, put it in my calendar. It's fine. It looks like that the NAB show coming up. I don't know if this is an accurate date, but October 9th, 2021.
Yep.
So that's the next NAB show.
Here's what's going to happen when travel does cut loose. We're going to be complaining about it because we're going to be slammed because it's all going to be compacted in 4 months, the entire year's worth of events.
So you think it's going to happen like a release of a dam or something? It's going to be like a dam break.
Well,
you think
just
what's going to happen?
Podcast Movement August 3rd, Podcast Con August 20th, NAB October 9th, She Podcast Live October 14th. And there's going to be more stuff in there.
Well, that's what it was prior to the pandemic.
I know, but
bam, bam. I mean, I was going on trips where I was doing 3 back-to-back events.
Well, I know, but it'll be even worse because stuff that happened in the spring is going to be pushed to the fall.
Right.
So like what's going to happen with Podfest and all that? When are they going to do their next live event?
That's right. Oh, and Podcast Con is also in August, right?
Yeah. So
that's the same organizers that put on PodX a couple of years ago in Nashville. So, yeah. So these are a bunch of in-person events that we're talking about here coming up in the summer and fall of next year.
I might actually drive to Nashville to go to that event for Podcast Movement. Yeah.
Right. And then the She Podcast event in Scottsdale, Arizona is coming up in October 14th too. So that'll be like, I mean, the NAB show may somewhat overlap.
It's 9 to 13 and then She Podcast is 14 to 17.
Right. It's really close.
So we'll have folks.
Fortunately, it's, there's not that much of a distance between Las Vegas and Scottsdale. So.
Nope. That's like 4 hours.
Right.
Rental car one way.
Yep.
So, I'm excited about us, come on, vaccine. Let's go.
Bring it on.
Let's get this party started again. Let's relaunch the world.
Yeah. So, and the jobs keep flowing too, There's always a lot of job listings that I see too.
Well, that's good.
It is good. It's a good sign.
Yep. Well, what else are we going to talk about? Are we out of stuff for today?
I don't know. Let's see here.
And here's the funny thing. So I was on that Manscaped site. It said a cookie because I just loaded another page, and guess what I got? I got a Manscaped. I got a Manscaped ad. Big sidebar Manscaped ad.
On what page?
I was on a third-party just another website. I loaded another web page, and boom, Manscaped. So their retargeting is working real good. I bet
it's almost instantaneous.
Almost. I bet you if I load if I load Facebook or Facebag, whatever we want, I bet you if I scroll down through my news feed, I'll get a Manscaped ad within one page. Let me look. Let's see if we got one. Nope. Didn't get one that quick. Give him 15 minutes.
Todd, did we talk about that? There's talk that Anchor launched more than 1 million shows in 2020.
Okay, that's a great number.
And that there's talk that Anchor shows account for more consumption in terms of time spent listening than any other third-party podcast hosting or distribution provider.
Okay. Where did they get those numbers? How were they?
It doesn't say.
It sounds like a nice PR. Maybe there was 1 million new shows, but there was at least 700 or 800,000 shows that quit. Because if they've had okay, let's just do the simple math here. Matter of fact, we can use. Oh, I love this. What's Daniel's website again?
I thought it was podcast reviews.
Reviews. So let's go to podcast reviews. And this is just an easy. Is this right? Let me look at. Nope. Podcast reviews. I have to put Daniel J. Lewis in here. I should have this bookmark. Anyway, my point being is if I go over on his website, he's going to show that there's been about 400,000 active shows right now in the list. There'll be about 400,000 active. Oh, it's my podcast reviews. Okay.
Yeah, my podcast reviews.
Yeah, right. And let's look at industry stats. So right now, today, let's see here. Where's the number?
1.685.
Okay, I'm looking for the activity report. Does he put that on here?
Yeah.
Active versus inactive.
Right.
So right now, active is 365. Well, that's by total number of episodes. Okay, so podcast episodes by recency. So if we look at 90 days, 31 to 90 days, how many shows have created a new episode? That's 242,000. Now, if I do 8 to 30, that's another 206, so we're up to 440. And maybe there's some duplicity here, I think. So let's say about 450,000 active shows. And they brought 1 million on in the past year. Now, Rob, have you guys added any customers this year?
Oh, yeah.
Buzzsprout has. We have. Podbean has. We've all added new podcasts. How many of those 1 million shows that got added to Anchor are
still producing content?
Right, past 90 days or 7. So, you guys can do your own research. Just listen to the show. Go, write some scripts and go do the math. But sure, they got some incredibly high new, you look at the number of new podcasts going into Apple Podcasts, but also there's a sea of death. Right. Show death.
Well, it's just, free tends to promote.
Free is free.
Tire kicker, and that's okay. I mean, I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying that that's just the reality of it. Is that it brings in people that are just testing the waters, and those get automatically pushed out.
Yeah,
and they reflect on the play. I mean, the numbers look really high, but at the end of the day, what this industry is trying to build is audiences, right?
According to his active versus inactive chart, there's 699,000 shows that have published at least one episode in the last 30 days. So 700,000 in the last 30 days, which is which is pretty impressive number compared to where we were. But I know how many of that is my number. You know how much of that is your number. Mm-hmm. Because people that don't pay don't publish. Or people that aren't publishing stop paying their hosting bill. So generally they do.
So what it's saying is that Anchor powers 70% of Spotify's total podcast catalog,
Nope.
or around 1.3 million out of over 1.9 million shows.
And I don't know where they
Which
get
it
1.9.
isn't. Which doesn't make any sense because, you look at Daniel's chart and it shows
Yeah.
under 1.7. So,
Right.
So I don't know where these other shows are coming from.
And I would go over look at the podcast index. They give us a number too. They've got 1.334 million. And
But then again, Google is reporting over 2 million, right?
Are they?
Yeah, well, they've always said that they had over 2 million feeds in their catalog.
Well, I don't know where they're getting them all.
I don't either. Unless they're able to capture feeds that are not being submitted to Apple.
So the podcast index shows in the last 60 days, 341,000 shows have published an episode.
And I know that Google knew that they could have a duplication issue. I wouldn't be surprised if they've been working on that.
Yeah.
So maybe Google doesn't have have the same issue here, but this article lists over 1.9 million shows.
So
I'm not seeing any industry data that validates that number.
So there's no surprise here. Yeah, if they added 1 million, great. But if only 100,000 of them are still alive, that's not a number you call home to mama about.
Mm-hmm.
I moved an incredible number of shows off of Anchor. Now nowhere near 1 million. I wish we would, but we've probably moved 20, 25 a week. Maybe that's not a big number to some, but
right.
People don't move. I don't get 25 Libsyn customers in a week.
No, I think people move off of Anchor because they want to get to a platform that they feel, better satisfies their needs, I guess. Whatever those needs happen to be.
Right. Yeah, I did see that article. I just kind of chuckled. I didn't give it too much thought. Then I moved on. So.
Yeah.
But, and let's be frank, though. Anchor has made a lot of us do a lot of things that maybe we should have done before. We've changed some strategy on some of the stuff that we're doing because of Anchor. So, it's not that they haven't had influence. Yeah, they've had some influence.
Right. So, I ordered an Apple Series 6 watch.
Oh, you did?
The other day.
I think I'm on 4. I don't know if I'm a 4 or a 5. I don't remember. It's a couple of years old.
Yeah, I've heard that upgrade going from 4 or 5 to 6 isn't really worth it.
Oh, interesting.
So
when are we going to get you on an iPhone?
I am on an iPhone.
Oh. Okay. You have an Android too?
I don't have an Android phone, but I did buy an Android tablet here just this last week, so I can use it with my my new teleprompter that I'm going to put into service next week.
So you're ready to make that? You're going to have to send us a picture of the rig when you're all done.
I will. It's not fully deployed yet, but I've been getting the pieces pulled together so I can do
it.
Yes. So I got a 10.4-inch Android tablet from Samsung, and I'm going to mount it in there, and I'm going to connect it via USB connection to my Surface computer, and it will do a mirror of a certain part of my screen to the teleprompter. So I'll be able to see your visual in the teleprompter, your image in the teleprompter. So when I look directly at the camera, I can see you.
Yeah, I changed what you see from me to be always being the shot that we're in now because I had gotten feedback from several of our guests that when we switched to where you are in the front, you would see yourself. They feel that was a little discerning. So sadly, what that results in, you don't get to see what I'm putting up on the screen anymore.
Right.
You just get to see me. So I could actually, Rob, put you up here just like that. The audience sees you, and I could pick my nose now, and you'd watch me pick my nose while they're watching you.
Right. I would much rather see that, Todd. Thank you. That's an important feature. So, did you say that you upgraded to the latest iPhone?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And here's the thing. I don't feel it was that big of a jump. And I don't
think so either. I mean, there's a lot of thought right now that Apple is not innovating as much as they probably should be.
But I'll tell you what was the jump from the S8, Samsung Galaxy S8 to the Note S20. Holy crap. Apple's got the challenges. I couldn't make this my permanent phone.
Right.
That's
what I keep hearing too.
The experience on that is, I think it's better than the iPhone. So, if you're considering an Android device, this Samsung Galaxy S20 is remarkable. It even comes with a pen. I don't use the pen, but the screen, the camera, I just think it's better.
Yeah, I got this 10.4 inch. It's the Samsung. It's A7 A7 tab. I think is what it's called. It's their brand new tablet. It's fairly inexpensive. It was only like $250, but it's pretty nice tablet.
The iPad that I have, I use it a lot. I read, surf the internet. If I'm on YouTube and someone says something, I look it up. And my iPad now, and I was upgrading every year for a while, or every 2 years, something like that. I think I've had this iPad that I've got now for 3, maybe going on 4 years, and not seeing any reason whatsoever to upgrade at all. And so maybe
so I've got 3 operating systems that I run. I'm running Windows on 2 computers and iPhone. And now I'm going to get the Apple Watch, and then I have 2 Android tablets is what I have. I've got a smaller one, and then I've got a bigger one now.
Yeah, I had some Android tablets before, but they've gotten so old that you can't update them no more. They don't update.
Right.
So, and I don't have a need for them. And, I've got 2 iPads. I got the big presentation iPad. That thing is absolutely wonderful. Of course, I used it strictly for events, doing demos and showing stuff. And it's too big to use on a regular basis for me.
Right.
But when it gets to the point where it's expired, I'll just go back and I'll use a smaller iPad. Yeah. Hey, Harold, how are you? Thanks for checking in with us.
So any other feedback in the Facebook? Or
yeah, let me go look at YouTube. And we've been kind of rambling today here. Harold's over there too. He says, "So is it too late to start a podcast that someone will find in 2021?" No, this is the time. If you're going to start a podcast, it's never a bad time to start a podcast.
Right.
Because oftentimes people say, I'm going to start a podcast. And then I'm going to wait to this time. And then I'm going to wait to this time. To record an episode, release it, and you're a podcaster. Then start podcasting. Especially if you're brand new. Just go. Yep. Don't delay. Because we have several people that listen to this show that are ultimate podcast procrastinators. You help me out here. Prognosticators. Jesus. Yes. They've been wanting to do a show, then just never did one.
So, Todd, as we look toward the end of the year, we should probably think about doing an episode or two, looking back and looking forward.
So just from a scheduling standpoint, Rob, next Saturday I will not be available.
Okay.
I have I'm going to fly down and see my new grandson,
Oh,
and
okay.
going to go down to Tampa. I'll actually be able to eat at a restaurant down there. They're open. So go down to Tampa and see my grandson and be down there for a couple of days, just over the weekend. And
well, they may not be open when you get there, though. Who knows?
they're not closing. Florida didn't hardly close to begin with. So, so I won't be here next Saturday. So we'll have a regular show on Wednesday.
The 12th is off.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
But don't see any issue. Now, I may, and I'm trying to figure if I can get a COVID test, I may, the 22nd or 23rd, fly out to go to Honolulu to go see, just to go back. So, so potentially right there before Christmas, I might not be available either. So it all depends.
Okay.
So that would give us, for next week, we'd have a Wednesday show, and then the following week we'd have no problem doing a show on the 16th and the 19th. So
right. Okay.
And I don't know if we want to do a show the day after Christmas or not. It kind of gets weird in there.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure we can probably
work around it. And there's not going to be a lot of news going on after about the 18th anyway. So
no, that's true.
Yeah,
that's very true. Yeah.
People are going to be on vacation mode if they can.
Mm-hmm.
Clinton says, yes, open the mic and go. I agree. Open the mic and go. And don't worry about buying an expensive mic. Get something cheap. And go.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. I think we're just, hey, we made it to 1:30.
Yeah. Well, and I think we had mentioned that Steve from Apple may have joined us today, but he's going to spend a little bit more time with his new position before he comes on. So he can talk a little bit more in depth about his new role,
his new gig, because he's probably can't say anything about his old gig. He's probably still under NDA.
I don't know. We'll see on that.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Time will tell. So, all right, everyone. Todd at blueberry.com. At Geek News is the Twitter account. Rob?
Yes. On Twitter as well, at Rob Greenlee. And you can send me an email if you want, robg@libsyn.com. And we do get a flow of emails from our listeners.
Yeah.
So it's good. Please reach out if you have a comment or suggestion for us, and maybe topics or things that you might want to hear about, or give us a little tease or tip on.
Sure.
We're always game for that.
Yeah, the tip line is open.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. I think what it is, Rob, is I've been so far behind on email, I probably just missed the announcement, or missed the, it's still in my inbox.
The one that I had talked about.
I haven't gotten to yet. Yeah.
Yeah, I responded.
Okay,
to it.
good.
So it isn't like it just left in the
In
ether.
the ether.
There.
All right.
Yeah. So,
All right, Clinton. Hey, Clinton, thanks for tuning in. Clinton is he's OG.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clinton's OG. Harold's OG too. A lot of the folks who are in the chat today are OG. So we thank all of you guys that are OG. Thanks for being here. All right, everyone.
Thank you.
What did you gonna say, Rob?
I said, thanks for hanging with us after all these. I think we're pushing on 400 episodes.
418 is where we're at.
418?
418.
So
Since we accounted for those other show numbers, we're at 418.
Yeah, that's a good number, Todd. You can be proud of that.
That's that's a good one. 10 plus years. So
yeah. Lots of weeks off though in that number.
Yeah, there's some spacing in there.
Right.
But all right, everyone. We'll see you next time on the Enemy Show.
You.
See you back here on Wednesday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah, bye.